So, Xavi, me and you, we were talking the other day, and you said, "Man, it's some things you just have to be aware. People have to have more awareness."
Right.
Can you explain to me what you meant by awareness?
Yeah. Being aware is just paying attention to things that are not calling for your attention. So
Mm.
what
Yeah,
I
break
mean
that
by
down for me.
what I mean by that is there are so many things in the world that clearly want our attention. Whether it's a certain person or like an action that somebody does, it's very much look at me, look at me. I know the last video we touched on social media, same thing. A lot of what you see on social media is very much look at me. We want you to points of where people are trying to engage with you and they want you to engage with them or interact with them or interact with what they're doing. But it's all built around this whole system of like attention. But then it's like, all right, I like to I like to look at things at a deeper level, like what's beneath the surface. And I'm not thinking, okay, well, if they're over here posting this, what's the reason? Why are they posting this? Why are they acting this way? Why is someone acting this way? Because I know it's very easy to make an opinion on somebody or have an opinion on anything because you're looking at things at face value. When I think that the important part is to look what's behind it, what's the reason. That to me is being aware. It's not looking at what's in front of your face. It's looking at what's behind it. So
So, to you being aware is being able to ask why. So, like, not just, oh, this person wore all black clothes, and I thought it was cool, but like, why a person wore all black clothes is them having awareness,
yeah, I
like
mean,
knowing why.
I mean, kind of. I mean, yeah, knowing why is part of gaining some type of clarity on what's going on or how somebody is or why someone is the way they are. But I think more so, it's just awareness is paying attention. Like I said, just paying attention to what's not right, what's not in front of your face. I know the example I gave you before was it was talking
A
about like how
pickpocket.
a pickpocket is, right? And like a person, or like you see those street tricks, right? Where they're over here trying to show you a trick, and then they take your watch, and you don't even notice that they, that they took your watch until they show you, oh yeah, here's your watch back, right? Um, that's I feel like is a way to kind of look at it. I don't think that you need to look at life in a perspective of like anxiety, like man, everything's out to get me. Everyone's trying to pull a fast one on me. I don't think it's like that, but I do think it's important to know that there's a deeper meaning to just about everything. Um, and not that you need to voice it or you need to be like this intellectual person or this person that always has something to say about somebody that everyone likes. It's just take note of it. Take note of what you see. Pay attention to all the. If someone over here is being very boisterous and loud, pay attention to when they're not. What are they doing? Are they looking? Are they listening to people? Does it look like they're thinking about what they're going to say next? Because those are things that kind of tell me who a person is. It's not just about who they show me. It's about who they're not trying to show me either. And that's when I'm paying attention, is when they're being quiet, or when, like when you, like really when you're looking at anybody, it's about what are they doing when no eyes are on them. So that's how I believe it. That's how I believe it should be, and I think that kind of going by that, not really like motto, but kind of just going by that practice. Um, I think I put myself in pretty good positions.
Definitely, I can, based on the way you have explained it, I can definitely see it um making you less reactive to circumstances that may be otherwise that may make you emotionally volatile.
I lost connection for a second. That was very weird. You hear me?
Yeah,
All right, I got you now. Go ahead.
I think it's dang, I lost my train of thought. Give me a
My bad,
second.
man.
Nah, 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 you good. You good. You said crap.
You said something about being like reactive, and that's where you cut off.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it keeps you from being emotionally reactive to circumstances that may arise that are not favorable, right?
Right.
So like
Exactly.
so when someone gives you, I'm gonna say, gossip about another person, and they're like, "Oh, did you know such and such did this?" It allows
Yeah.
you to not react like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know such and such would ever." That you're kind of more like, "I thought such and such did that in their spare time."
Yeah. Yeah. One
Huh.
hundred percent. I don't think it's not like, but see, I mean, in the way you had just said it, and I know that a lot of people. That's why I'm saying you shouldn't really. Once you gain the skill of being aware or just paying attention, I think it's important to kind of like control it in the sense of like because if you don't uncontrolled,
I
you just
agree.
yeah, uncontrolled, you just come across as a know-it-all, right? Like, oh, well, nothing surprises him, nothing. And I mean, honestly, nothing really does because you kind of saw a version of the world where that happened or that person is the way they are. So it's not really that much of a surprise when somebody switches up on you or when the world changes in a way that's like drastic. It's not like not that you aren't surprised at all, but you honestly mentally prepared yourself for the worst or you mentally prepared yourself for the best. There's both sides. It's not just that like, oh well, everyone likes him, so he's probably evil. You know what I mean? Like it's not really like that. It's just a matter of honing it. And yes, it makes you become less reactive to different things, but I think the better word for it, it prepares you. You know, and if you have preparation with really anything, you're kind of in a better position than others because you're prepared. So that's yeah, I would agree with that for sure.
Can you vividly recall a time where your lack of awareness led to you failing at something, or not having a favorable outcome at that particular time?
Hmm. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think that's why it kind of made me think is because I'm sure it's happened more than I can count, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I say something that I could probably like really remember, like from a personal experience, was probably hmm. I want to pick a good one. I'd say really my first time. Usually, I think my first time really with anything is when I'm reacting to it because it's my first time, right? In my head I was completely blindsided. You know, it wasn't something I've ever experienced. So for me, I would say it was like going to college, and I remember it was actually like when I transferred. It was when I transferred colleges, and I had just gotten to school, and it was all like a whole new terrain, right? So I got used to the school for 2 years, and now I'm going to this different school. Literally the climate is different, the people are different. I went there because it was more diverse, so there was a lot more people that looked like me. Um, but like I think what was interesting was like when I got there, it was funny because I was like, man, this is a diverse school. I love it. And then everyone who was already there, they're like, what are you talking about, man? They said it wasn't. And I was like, no, this is. Like, if you would have been where I used to go, you would think the same thing, right? So I think that's what I'm talking about. I felt like I was kind of like a fish out of water, like in the new terrain, new environment. And at that point, it was about adapting. But the adapting process, and I think we talked about adapting, right, in one of our videos as well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the adapting process, you're at least for humans, right? We're gonna fail. We're gonna fall. You know what I mean? We're gonna mess up a lot. So yeah, I think in those moments it's about paying attention to your mistakes, paying attention to what you believe to be true, and realizing that doesn't really hold up here. It's a whole different place, right? So yeah, that's what it was for me, man. What about you?
Ooh, so my most vivid. I would have to, and I know you probably gonna laugh, but it's okay, bro. Uh, I think my most vivid memory of my lack of awareness just causing me failure is in relationships,
Hmm.
because it's like I see the person you have the potential to be,
Right.
and I get so blinded by my idea of that potential
Hmm.
that I never see you have no plan of or no obligation to live up to it, because
That's true.
I created that,
Right.
right? And so now, no matter what you do, I keep looking at you and seeing all of your potential, but I'm not looking at you and actually seeing what you're doing,
Right.
right? And so now that I'm older and I've had many relationships, all these great things, whatever, it's like, yeah, if I had just been more aware of, like, you realize this person is doing that and that's not okay,
Right.
right? It's like that would have saved me so much
Hmm.
uh emotional, yeah, time and emotional content,
Yeah.
just because, I didn't know. I was unaware.
That's
um
real, man.
but yeah, so, and it's like I'm still not the whole cold hearted, da 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 whatever. It's just like, but no, I'm aware now.
Yeah.
Like if I hand you a candy bar, right? And I
Right.
you keep having your hand out, if you never hand anything back, I'm aware that you are always willing to accept and you're never willing to give,
Yeah.
right? So even if I'm handing you a candy bar and you hand me a glass of water, maybe that's all you had,
Yep.
right? So it's
Hmm.
like, it's not about the it's not about the exchange.
Hmm.
It's about the thought,
Yeah.
right?
What was behind it? What was the thought process?
Correct. Correct.
Hmm.
Were you doing this so that later I owe you a favor? Or
Hmm.
were you doing this because you didn't want to feel like you were taking advantage of me?
Hmm.
Or like, why were you doing this?
Yep. That's
So
real.
it's just
Yeah.
having that awareness and then allowing everything to play itself out. Because if you give anything enough time, it will reveal itself.
That's true, man. That
And
kind
so
of
just
brought up.
having that,
Go
hmm,
ahead. Go ahead. My bad.
just having that awareness, I think, is just having that level of awareness gives you a level of patience to just let things play out in front of you. And so now you don't have to do a whole lot of guessing work. And no, it don't make you a know-it-all, like you said, but it's like, I kind of know where I've seen this story a couple times,
Right. Yeah.
watched this movie a few times. So
And so act like it. Don't just don't just
correct.
don't just watch it happen and then like, oh, that must have been nothing. It wasn't. The reason that you noticed it, the reason that it caught your attention, is because it was important. So I think I don't think that this is a skill that I don't think it's a skill that people just don't have. Like you have it or you don't. I think that technically, I think that we have
We
it.
all have it.
We have it as just being humans. That's why we're at the top of the food chain, right? Um, that's I think that's what it is. It's about being important. It's about paying attention and then using what you just collected and then proceeding with that new information. Because if you proceed with new information, you're obviously going to act different. You're obviously going to move different. You brought up the situation, like not even situation, but you brought up the scenario of more of like relationships, which is perfect. I know that's definitely a human experience, right? So we can reach a lot of people when we talk about this. Um, a kind of spin off of a relationship that I was just thinking while you were saying that was there was a I have a couple friends. I'll say a boy and a girl, right, or a man and a woman that
Hmm.
are in a relationship. That they've been in a relationship with someone and they're like head over heels, right? They're like, oh, I love them, I love them, I love them. They're perfect. But then they start explaining like, yeah, they give me everything. Like, oh, they give you everything. Like, yeah, they buy me food, they buy me shoes, they buy me clothes, they just shower me with gifts. And you're like, yeah, okay, that is something that people do to someone that they love, but you also got to pay attention to that. Because it's very easy just to be like, oh, I'll take that. Yeah, no, I'll take that. I'll take everything. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And then just move on amicably, right? We're just like, oh, cool. Like, wow, they're so thoughtful. But then it's like, okay, but why are they doing that? Pay attention. It's not to water down like the blessings or the gifts that someone is giving you, but it's just to slow down, especially if you're in a relationship with, you just started a relationship with someone, and all of a sudden, like, what, second day in, and they're showering you with gifts, getting you all these purses and shoes and clothes and food and jewelry, right? It's very easy just to look at what they want you to see. But again, if you're paying attention and you're trying to be aware of your surroundings, you're going to look about what was behind it. Why are they doing that? Are they giving me gifts so that because they genuinely like to make me feel good? Are they giving me gifts because it makes them feel good? Or are they giving me gifts because they want me to rely on, they want me to look at them in a certain light that's like, oh, they're perfect. If that's the case, why do they want me to look at them like they're perfect? Are they hiding something? Or are they just genuinely who they are? And these are all things that, are gonna, like, they should kind of go through your head, but not in a way, like, it shouldn't drive you crazy. Because what I don't like, there is a line where it's like, all right, now you're doing too much. There is a line where you are doing too much, and now because someone got you a cup of coffee, you're over here like, oh, did he give me the cup of coffee because he really wants to control me and this and like, but once you start utilizing your resources and paying attention how you should be, you know when to kind of flip the switch. Okay, this is something I need to pay attention to. Now it's time to switch it off. All right, cool. I got what I needed. Done. Now let me enjoy the moment. you know and I think that is very easy to do when you're trying to pay attention to like what's not being shown, that you start not living in the moment. Now you're living out in this world of anxiety, this world of, oh, everything's against me. That's not how. If you start feeling like that, that's probably your sign to chill out a little bit, but a little bit. Okay, like, don't just completely be like, oh no, everything's fine. Like, I don't think and I guess I'm talking more so when we're talking about people, is a lot of people expect, they wish, they look for the best in people. So when somebody lets them down, it really, like, destroys them, right? Because all they could ever see was them, the perfect them. All they could ever see was them being this great person. But if you look at something, not in the sense like you need to look at something like hope for, I mean, I do kind of live in that sense, but I do think that it could be modified a little bit. But it's, what do they call it? Like, you hope for the best, but expect, or what is it? Help me out
You
on this.
had
What is it? It's like you wish for the best, but expect the worst, or something like that.
yeah. You like
But
you hope for the best, but you prepare for the worst.
that's what it is. Prepare. It's not that you're, yeah, 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 yeah. Prepare for the worst. So that, like I said, that whole word right there, prepare. If you prepare, you are prepared for worst come. You know what I'm saying? The worst thing possible. You know. So
I call it, so what you just explained, I call it, bro, you just gotta look at the Carfax, right?
the
So
car
let's
fix.
say your dream car is a Mustang GT, right? You go to
Mm-hmm.
this car lot and they like, yeah, here go the Mustang GT, and it looks sweet. The seats look nice, the color on it is beautiful, it's a convertible, it's right on point,
You forgot the
right?
one part. When you turn on a Mustang and it does that rumble, bro. It lets you know, like, hey, we meant for power, boy. That's what I love about a
Right?
Mustang. But continue. My
Right?
bad. My bad. My
So
bad.
it got all these things you really like about it.
Right.
However, you cool with the price, you cool with the look, but you never check the Carfax,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you don't see that this vehicle's been in 5 accidents. It's been rebuilt 3 times,
Yep.
right? You didn't look at the tires and see that the wire's showing. So you're gonna have 4 blowouts at any moment,
Mm-hmm.
right? You didn't know that the brakes were flooded, right? So all of these things are wrong, and they were in the Carfax. Like, all these things were listed in the Carfax.
Yep.
But you, instead of looking at the Carfax, you're like, but nah, look how sweet it is. Like, look at the car, listen to the engine, right? And it's like, engine sound real nice, but as soon as you take off on them tires, you having blowouts.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's one of those things where you can see what people are doing. You can see how they portray themselves around different groups of people, and you can you can understand how people are treating you, and you can kind of feel why they're treating you that way.
Yeah.
And so those are the facts. And
Yeah.
so like using myself as an example, I remember looking back on a relationship and I was like, but honestly, what can you say this person has done for you? Like
Mm-hmm.
you've known them for X amount of years.
Yeah.
What can you like? What have they helped you with that you couldn't have helped you with?
Right. Yeah.
And it's like those are the facts.
Right.
Now what I wanted to believe was different. However, when I look at the facts are the facts. Either they did or they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's a fact. Now you can tie emotion to that and say, well, they tried to do all those times and they just couldn't. It's like, okay, that's emotional though.
Yeah.
Like you can't prove that. You can only prove if they did or didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, you're aware. You're just choosing not to use it because you don't want to look at the Carfax. You found your dream car for the perfect price you thought because that's what it looked like. But in reality, if you just look at the Carfax, you're like, bro, you can't make me buy that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know?
That was a lesson my mom always told me. Like throughout my life, she always just said, "Pay attention." And I'd be like, "What do you mean?" She would just repeat herself, "Pay attention," right? And that's funny that you brought up the cars, because that's literally what I did when I bought my first car. So I had test drove like a brand, like it was like the car that came out that same year, and for some reason it was way cheaper. So that was like the kind of the first indicator. But I saw the car. I was like, man, I could get a brand new car like this. Like, yeah, like I want this car. And I test drove it, and I noticed there were some things wrong with it. But I was so almost willing to ignore them. I was kind of like, yeah, but it's a new car, so I'm gonna be straight. Like it's cool. And then we got back to the dealership, and my mom had called me right before I was gonna be like, man, I think this is the one. She's like, you should take that car, take it down like to this other like a garage, and have them do like a what's it called, like a service, kind of where they look at everything. All right, basically check off. Okay, this is good. This is good. This is good. This is good.
Yeah,
Right.
like kind of like a tune up.
Exactly. And I took the car over there, and I'm like, and so I took that car over there, and I'm the type of person like I don't like to waste time. So I'm like, okay, in the case that they give me bad news, I'm already start test driving another one. So I test drove another vehicle while that one was being looked at. As I was test driving the new vehicle or the other vehicle, which was a lot like a much actually, as I was test driving the new vehicle, which is the vehicle I have now, they had called me and they were like, hey, do not get this car. And I was like, oh shoot, like why? It's like, yeah, if you get this car, like it might last you a month before it breaks down. I was like, oh shoot. I was like, yeah, well, I definitely don't. I definitely don't want to get that car. And it was cheaper, but it was a lot of money. Um, it was still a lot of money, and the vehicle I got now was for a good price. But yeah, so I mean, kind of literally exactly what you said. It was like if I didn't, take it in to get looked at, if I didn't slow my roll before pulling the trigger, right, and be like, you know what, let me just make sure that this is something I want to invest in, I would have been in a horrible situation. But it's just like everything else. It's just like everything else. We were just talking about relationships. Slow down. Make sure this is something that you want to invest yourself in. You're not going to just look at it, oh, this is something, invest. No. You're going to analyze it. You're going to see its trends. You want to see how it acts in difficult situations. You know what I mean? Like you want to see how it acts when it's angry, when it's this and
Correct.
that. And I know I'm talking about kind of a person, but it's literally with life, man. You got to pay attention to what you have to study it. Be a
Data analysis.
be a student of life. You know what I mean? Like be a student, and it's but also relish in what you're going through. But pay attention. Always keep it like, okay, I didn't really like that. I'm gonna keep it back here. I'm not gonna respond to it right now because there's no reason to. Not yet. But if I see it, if I start to see that it's becoming a habit,
Habit.
we're gonna nip it right in the bud. This is the problem. I either and then you can make a decision. Is this something that you are okay with being around? Is this something that you are if because then at that point, if you make a decision, it's only on you because you knew what you were getting into because you were paying attention. So go ahead.
And I think that's what makes it kind of weird to think about how as you allow certain things, right? So and I'm not saying relationships necessarily as two people together looking to get married. I mean like even friendships, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um I find it so interesting how if you keep cutting parts of you out because you're like, oh, I'm okay with that, I'm okay with that, I'm okay with it, based on who your friends are,
Yep.
typically your friends end up being bullies because all of them understand that they can just like clip you down to whatever size is suitable for them and you're not
Mm-hmm.
gonna say nothing about it.
Yeah.
And you want friends so badly that you're not ever gonna tell them that like, yo, I don't like the way that feel,
Mm.
because you know then they'll leave
Right.
because you like you're allowing them to bully, but you're aware like that this is happening, but
Mm-hmm.
you choose to ignore it
Yep.
because you just want people around so bad until people come around you and start asking, why do you take that?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you, people who genuinely care,
Right.
why do you da da da, you know? But it's funny, it's weird how we have that awareness and we'll literally let ourselves be shrunk down and cut down for friends, right?
Yep.
um just to say we have some,
Yep. You
just
know
to
what
say
you
we
mean.
have some.
Mm-hmm. I saw a situation where I was playing basketball with a bunch of kids. I think they were like about 12, 13 years old. And I was playing basketball with them. And this one kid, I think I told you about this. That one kid was kind of pushing up on this other kid. And like he was playing like hard defense basically. And the kid didn't like it. Like he wasn't fouling him, but like he was just mad that every time he would spin or move, he was running right into a wall like someone that was standing still, right? And he didn't like it. And so you could see that I was paying attention because I was letting it go. Because especially when you're young men, you gotta let them get physical to a certain extent, right? So
Correct.
I'm just watching. I'm like, yeah, like what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? And my thought, like, okay, the right way to act is like, get a little bit aggressive back, probably get a little nippy. You know what I mean? If I have to break up something, like, hey, no, y'all doing a little too much, or if it's the right amount, okay, now they're competing, perfect, keep going, right? But no, this kid decided he to get him to stop, he starts being like, no, you're weird. And then he said it to himself. Like you could see him, like you could, all right, so like the kid pushed up on him, and I think he stole the ball. The kid kind of, you could see, if you were paying attention to the kid that was being pushed up on, you could see kind of his eyes kind of calculate the situation. He was like, okay, wow, he's embarrassing me. I'm getting beat. Everyone else is looking at me. Everyone is laughing. How do I get them back on my side? How do I come back from this situation? Right? How do I come out on top? And then he starts going. And you could see him say, he was like, "You're weird." And the first time he said it, like no one heard, but I heard him because I'm looking. I'm just watching, right, paying attention. And he's like, "Yeah, you're weird. You're weird. You're weird," right? And gets loud and like points his finger because like kids they have this very like herd mentality or like a pack mentality. So he thought as soon as he said you're weird, I said and I got right in front of him. I was like no, no. I was like I get what's going on. Get him back, but you're not gonna do that, right? And a lot of people are looking at like, oh well, he was about to be a bully. He was gonna be a bully. No, he felt he was physically being bullied, so he was going to try to beat him in a game that he knows how to play. So he said, "All right,
Correct.
cool. Well, I'm going to mentally bully him." And that's what it all is. As soon as he did that, some of the kids started listening and you could tell that they were going to hop on the trend of like, "Oh yeah, he's weird. He's weird." But you got to shut it down. I shut it down because I'm watching him. I'm paying attention to his face.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Paying attention. Like, what is he thinking about? And that's what I mean is I'm not looking at the kid like wow he's just a bad kid, he's a mean kid. No, what I saw was a very scared kid. What I saw was a very uh, what's it called when you lack confidence? What's the actual word for it? Um,
When you lack confidence.
yeah, like a very not like I mean not really nervous, but I guess you get my point. Is the point is I see a kid who lacks confidence. I see a kid who feels that he needs to impress others to feel at peace with himself. All these are things that I'm noticing. So I'm not thinking just about basketball. I'm thinking about other situations where he probably do something very similar, and it's not going to
Correct.
surprise me. You know what I mean? Because I'm just like, I know who he is, I know what he's capable of, and I know his tendencies. So, and it doesn't just apply to kids. That's just an example. So,
Yeah, and that's why I was gonna take it and use it because it's funny how there like your personality is your personality. It shines no matter where you are.
mm-hmm.
So it's like because I was thinking, I'm like, okay, like I've had that happen when I'm playing basketball. Somebody play defense better than expected,
Yep,
right? And like, but what's funny is in the story you go, he's playing defense on you, but it's like, what you gonna do? And
exactly.
I think as a kid, that question runs through your mind subconsciously because
What do I do?
for
Yeah,
some people, it's I'm gonna hit you with an elbow to get you off me, and then I'm gonna go up with my shot.
right.
For me, it was all right. I'm going to whatever my next move is, and we coming off that move with a shot. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like that's just what it is. But for some people, it's just let's put the ball down and fight. Cause you keep fouling me, dude. It's like
Exactly. Yep.
it's interesting. Everybody' personality just come out on the court,
Yep.
and I look back to it shows how do you respond? How do you think? How do you because he could have responded by, oh, I'm gonna go push him down.
Yep.
And some people do. But instead of doing that, he went straight to the mental. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like if I'm on that court and I know what I know now, it's like, yeah, you gotta watch him, bro. Like he like to play mental games
Yep.
in real
Exactly.
life, you know. But that's
Exactly.
just and that doesn't mean he do play mental games. It's just it's something to be aware. So now if somebody comes to you and they're like, do you know this whole scheme was thought up by this kid? And it's like, he's a
Mm-hmm.
thinker. Yeah. I
Yeah.
kinda I
And
can
I
see
think,
him doing it.
yeah, and I think that if you look at it through the kind of the way of that scenario, you start. I think if you look at it thoroughly, right, it makes you less judgmental. It does. And I know it
Very
sounds
much
very
so.
judgmental to kind of be like, oh well, you're analyzing him. You know what I mean? And then you're coming up with like an opinion of somebody. I mean, kind of, but sometimes your opinion of somebody ends with more questions, right? Because like I said with him, I don't think that kid was a bully. I think he has the capability to be a bully, but I don't think he is a bully at heart. At the end, like I told you, at the end of the day, I saw someone who's scared, and then it goes deeper. Why is he scared? Right? Being scared is coming from someone that feels threatened. If he feels threatened, why does he feel threatened? And now, obviously, if you're kicking it, if you are a genuinely good person and you're looking at it in the sense of that, you're not just going to end it with, oh, why is he a scared person or why is this person this way? You're looking at it in the sense of like, well, how can I help? You know what I mean? Like, what can I do? And it's not even like, oh, I got to be direct, but you're going to start having tendencies about yourself with a specific person. The reason you have those tendencies is because you saw something that you felt you can acknowledge without them knowing that you know what's going on. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So with him, it wasn't like that was like you said. The response was, "Yeah, what are you gonna do? Right? What are you gonna do?" But I look. It was in a sense of like, it wasn't in a sense of like, "Oh, I don't think that you're capable." Because if I didn't think he was capable, I would have been like, "Man, this sucks, bro. That sucks. That's tough." Oh well, I didn't do that. Right? It was a matter of looking at him like, "No, what are you gonna do?" Because what? We have everything we need to overcome literally anything in this world, anything that you want. So if that's the case, it's kind of just bringing. I just wanted him to make that connection to, oh, so wait, I don't have to basically fight unfair. Like I can actually battle him. Yes, you can. And guess what? You still might lose. You probably will. That dude was much bigger than him. But you know what I mean. But the fact is,
That ain't the point. It's the
right
principle.
at the end of the day, it inspired you, and that's something that you didn't think that you had. You didn't think that you were capable. Now, for a second, for a fraction of a second, you thought you were capable. You know, so yeah, man, it's yeah, bro. That's what paying attention is, man. It's not just because we talked about briefly about the pickpocket. A pickpocket will freaking steal your watch, but be over here looking like, oh yeah, all right, everyone, look at this, look at this. What is going on up here? And then all of a sudden, their other hand is creeping over your watch, or they're shaking your hand, but they're really squeezing your watch and taking it off. Like that's what it is, man. It's like, all right, yes, pay attention to what they're showing you. Yes. but also pay attention to what they're not showing you. It's equally important. So yeah,
Yeah,
man.
I think and what's funny is I think experience helps with all of this, right? Because you're just willing to sit. I think the older you get, the more willing you are to sit back and just watch stuff play out in front of you.
Yep.
And from that, you collect data, right? Because you start to realize some of the stuff you've already seen multiple times.
Yeah.
And not to say like it gets boring, because it doesn't, right? There's always new surprises, but it is, like you said earlier, being that student of life.
Yep.
And so I find it funny how what you're saying is awareness is the ability to be able to read between the lines.
Hmm.
Like that's what this is. Like I said I hate you, but the reason I was crying when I said it is because you hurt my feelings and you made me really angry, which is
Yeah.
why I said I hate you, right?
Yeah, man.
Um
That's good. Yeah.
and it's a okay, you said nothing close to what you meant, but because I know you or because I'm aware, I know what you meant, but I also heard what you said.
Yep.
And so I think it separates listening from hearing. We hear songs all the time. Doesn't mean you can recall them. Doesn't really mean that you know what the song was about. But if you're listening to songs, if you're listening to music,
Hmm.
it's probably some of your favorite, right? It's
Yeah.
probably on repeat. You're probably getting something out of it. And
I
that's
think
the
so.
because you've changed your level of awareness.
Right. That's good, man. I feel like you keep. This is how I know we go well together, man. Because you keep sparking different ideas after you say something. Because that made me think. So I used to be in a play,
Hmm.
and it was in college, and I was in a play, and what's funny is I struggled so much with memorizing my lines, and it was tough. It was so tough. And I remember that one day, like it was just a bad rehearsal or whatnot. I kept on having to ask for line. Like when you forget a line, you kind of gotta like freeze where you're at and be like line, and then someone will read your line for you, and then you gotta say the line and then move forward. Bro, I had to say line like every single time it was my turn to speak. And what I realized, I didn't even realize it. The person that pointed it out to me was the director, and she said, "All right, everyone, hold on." And she looked at me and she was like, what I want you to try now is to actively listen to what they're saying. Because, and it was crazy that she was able to point that out. I think that she definitely has a gift for like kind of seeing things that other people don't see, paying attention. Um, but, but she had said, she was like, listen to him when it's be an active listener. She's like, because what I knew, what I was doing, I was just waiting for my turn to talk. I was almost kind of because I'm very much in like a pattern. I'm used to patterns, right? I'm very much used to tempo. I was a musician and I was also an athlete. And with the hurdles, there's a tempo in between each hurdle. You know that it's going to be three steps, three strides, and then your hurdle. It's 1, 2, 3 hurdle, 1, 2, 3 hurdle. So I'm very much tempo oriented, pattern oriented. And when she said that, she was like, make sure you're actively listening because she knew that I was not listening to what they were saying. I was only listening for my turn. So because I was only listening for my turn, I wasn't picking up the context cues that they would give me when they're having a conversation. I memorized my whole line. You know what I mean? Because we forget it's a conversation. It's not just your part. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So yeah,
Correct.
once you said that, it was funny because something so simple and like I don't care whoever's in here that's like duh like how could you not listen? It was my first play ever. I'd never had any type of experience in a play whatsoever. Like I said, I was a musician, so I'm used to performing. I was even a dancer. I'm used to performing, but my talking didn't matter, right? Um, but when she said that, man, it was like a immediate change. Like all of a sudden, I was memorizing every single line, and I got through completely, and I could focus on other things like how to be more expressive in different ways, because now I'm not focusing on the fact that I don't know my lines. So yeah. Well, I guess I say all that to say it's very much like anything else, because if you're actually, I think that we all kind of move in this state of like I'm going through the motions and that's it. But if you're actually going through the motions and actually almost like being, I mean, we said it, being aware, kind of like waking up, opening your eyes, you're going to see so much more valuable information that's going to just help you with whatever you want in life. And so that's why we made this video, was because we feel that our ability to be aware, our ability to pay attention to different things has carried us as far as we've come in life. You know, like we know what a professor is expecting, not just because of what a typical professor expects, but because we paid attention to what that individual likes, that individual like how they like to conversate, if they don't like to conversate. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, it's worked wonders
That's
for me.
why I would tell you like imagine life is a video game and you creating your avatar, right?
Yeah.
Where I got that idea from was I was playing Madden one day, and every Madden player, you got all these running backs, you got an overall number, but then it's broke up into individual things like they stiff arm ability, the spin ability,
Yep.
juke, da da da. So I was like, if I was building a character for life, like to live in this world,
Mm.
right, knowing everything I know currently,
Yeah.
what would I spend the most tokens or skill points on so that I could increase that to increase the overall of my character?
Hmm.
And awareness was one of the biggest things
Yeah.
because like I would play Madden a lot, so I like to play running back. So
Yep.
I would make sure I increase my ball carrier vision and I would increase my awareness because there's nothing more I hate, bro, than
When
when
a
I
running back doesn't see the hole.
bro, it's
Yeah,
like
man.
right there, like right
Yeah.
there, it was right there.
Yeah.
So it's like yeah. And so
Yeah.
I was like, in real life, if I were to increase my awareness, like what would happen?
Yep.
Like if my awareness was an overall 99, like I was the best of the best of the best.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm so aware I can tell you what color shoestrings you got on. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
that's how aware I am. But it kind of led to okay, how much strength would my character need? So
Yep.
I'm like, I'd probably be good at like 85 overall strength. And for
Yep.
those of y'all who don't know, the scale only goes from 0 to 99. The closer you
Yeah.
are to 99, the better.
Yep.
So it's like probably 85 strength. Ain't no need to be 93, 95. For what?
Yeah. But you said it. You know where to put your money. You know where to put your tokens. You know where to invest your time. You know where areas that you need to work on. Like, yeah, man.
And
Yeah.
then it's like, but in those games, whenever you build your character, by developing one trait enough, it bleed over into other traits. So
Mm.
like in basketball, it's like, okay, if you develop like your shooting accuracy, now it also helps 3 point, 2 point, mid range layup, right?
Yep.
So even though you only upgraded one specific area, you still got it bled over into others because it just had to. And I
Yeah.
feel like awareness is one of those things where if you just keep trying to figure out ways to be more aware, try to focus more, pay more attention to your surroundings,
Yeah.
it bleeds over into other things where you're like, oh, well, it only makes sense for me to also do this.
Yep.
It only makes sense for me also to do that.
Yep.
So it's like, yeah,
That's very
awareness is
true, man.
worth its weight in gold for sure.
Takes you far, and it puts you in front of other people. Like you know, we have this tendency to compete with other people. The one who's aware and doesn't act first, the one who sits back and is just like, wait, okay. It's very much like the story of the turtle and the hare, right?
Correct.
The turtle's moving slow, but the turtle wins, right? You know, so it's like, yeah, a lot of people just jump to conclusions. A lot of people just jump to act, jump to be the one, jump to be this guy, and jump, jump to fall in love. You know what I mean? But then it's the one that seems to be more successful is the one who just stops and is like, hold on, okay, got it, okay, all right, let's play.